Let's bring in Cedric Ceballos, 11 years in the NBA. He played with stars. He was an all-star. He was a slam dunk champ. He averaged 15 in his career, now a Mavericks employee. Cedric, it's an interesting conversation that to be an NBA player, you were probably a great high schooler, a great AAU, Fullerton, you were great. Then you go to the NBA and somebody says, hey, you're going to be a 3. And it's like, whoa, I'm not ready for that. So I do have sympathy for Scottie Pippen in that not only was Michael a 1, he was the 1 of all time. Do you think sometimes being Pippen was harder than we acknowledge?
Well, first AAU in high school, I didn't get to play at all. I was the bench rider, so don't put me in that mix. Late bloomer here. But I think the wonderful thing about the comparisons, one, Michael Jordan is the greatest, so he's up there. But your Robin sometimes get deflated because Michael's so great. Scottie, personally, to me and probably to a lot of others in that era, was the hardest person, one, to guard or to be guarded by. Now, don't get me wrong. I averaged 20-plus points over Scottie while playing him. And then Charles Barkley said if we had said we'd have won in 93, but the guy could guard everybody from the point guard to the 5. He could play every position. He had a decent shot. He stretched it out to 3 sometimes. He could drive. He can leap. He could defend. He can stop people. I even put him in a position where the 91 series, when they won their first championship, the movement to make him guard Magic Johnson was the problematic cause of them after they lost game 1. Magic couldn't do as much as he can do because of Scottie. But I think his Robin abilities do get depleted because Michael was so high. But for me, Scottie was one of those guys, Sprewell, one of those guys, and a double team with Larry Johnson and Stacey Augmon. It's just so hard playing against those individuals, but Scottie was at my top of my list.
Now, Scottie says Michael's selfish, and I said this last hour, Cedric, is that when you identify a great talent, it could be Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook, it could be Elon Musk, it could be LeBron. When you identify at a fairly early age, wow, Jeff Bezos, that's a genius. Then what starts to happen is you start building around this person's mind or this person's athletic ability. Like LeBron James, 14 years old, people said, I remember reading a story about it. There's this kid in Akron named LeBron James. He's 14.
Yeah.
Everything from that point forward is how do we groove his path to make him great? So whenever I hear, well, this star is selfish, I'm like, well, yeah, I'm going to give guys who are great selfish. You played with players. Do players understand that the one sometimes is selfish and everything is built around him? Or is that hard to deal with?
No, it depends on the Robins, so to speak, that are playing with that Batman. Yeah, Michael Jordan was selfish, but he had to be. He had to be to take his game to the next level. Same with Kobe Bryant, same with Shaquille, same with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. All of those players had to have some selfishness to go deep inside themselves to go, okay, I'm not going to let us lose. That's a selfish remark right there. I am not going to let us lose, and I'm going to will this team. That's a situation where those are the elite. But you also have teammates who understand that, and some teammates don't want that attention. You talked about John Stockton. John was a tremendous defender, a great person, a tremendous teammate, very hard playing guy. But I don't think he wanted any stardom. He wanted to sneak in the back door, put in his uniform, play hard, and then sneak out the back door and could care less if you knew who he was or not. Scottie Pippen is one of the elite players, and it's unfortunate that he played a great part of his career, his best years, with the wonderful Michael Jordan.
So let's go to the ClippersSuns. I felt like watching that game last night. It was the old dudes against the young upstart kids, and the old dudes just leaned on them. And I mean, you start looking at Batum and Paul George and Patrick Beverley, and you've been in those games. And I thought the Suns, this was the biggest game for everybody there except Jay Crowder. And I thought they were tight, Cedric. I thought the Suns were tight. Did you?
Well, the pressure, I thought, was on the Suns to try to close that out in all the fame. I love the way Chris Paul really got out of the 3-1 narrative. Like, don't talk to me about it. I've been there, I've done that. I understand that. I think they really went for the home run instead of just getting on base. You saw every play. You had Cam come in when he made a bucket. The threes were up and he was hooping and hollering. Booker made a bucket. He was hooping. I think that really got away from him. But the most important thing, like you said, was Crowder. where was he last night? His offensive ability. Now, I don't think he's going to go score 20, but I think making the right passes, making a precision shot was hurting. And then for the Clippers side, I thought a couple of things that I saw in Brooklyn's Game 7 against Milwaukee. Kevin Durant was out of gas, and he's a jump shooter. Giannis was a driver. I think that's why Giannis kind of overtook Kevin. They both played a lot of minutes in that game. Nash didn't pull out Durant. It seemed like when he needed that jump shot, he didn't have the legs to get to the basket to finish to do what he had to do. Paul George, when he missed those free throws, and don't get me wrong, they could have been a switch. It could have been 3-1 right now. Paul makes free throws, and I text Jerry West about this all the time, and he understands that if he had his legs under, he might have had a better chance to make those free throws. I thought when they took him out in the fourth quarter, and Mark Jackson and Van Gundy was like, "Why is Paul not in the game?" I thought that rest got him enough energy and enough break to stretch it out. I love the way Cousins came in and played and kept his cool head. He had a couple incidents where he could have pushed and got a technical, and Morris, that's just the way they play. But I thought the way that they handled the minutes of Paul George, kept his legs, he was fresh. Now you're saying the first quarter, he was really not there. I thought he was kind of pacing himself and getting everybody else going, because late in the game, you watch this series, it's all up to PG and Jackson, and it's up to Chris Paul and Devin Booker going one-on-one, trying to find ways to score the basketball. And all four of those individuals need their legs in the fourth quarter late.
Cedric, it's interesting. We view Paul as a great two, but availability matters. Kyrie's availability, Anthony Davis's availability, Kawhi's availability. To me, they're great twos. They're super talented twos. LeBron, always there. Kobe's career prime, always there. Michael, always there. Malone, always there. I look at Paul George. He's always there, and he gives you about 26 in these games. Is Paul just a lower-end one, or do you view him as a two in this league?
He could be both. He was a one in Indiana. I thought he was aggressive, maybe a 1.5 at OKC.
Yeah.
You had Russell Westbrook there. And I think it's the same thing here. I think they went with the 1.5s here. I mean, Kawhi, when he's on the basketball court, obviously he does great things and tremendous things, as he did against my Mavericks in that wonderful series. But, when he's not there, Paul can take over. He can be the guy that doesn't touch the ball until 5 seconds left to go in the shot clock and still knock down shots, still be effective on defense. I think that's the versatile position that they got, when they required both of these individuals. So I think he can be a two, but he is very dominant, but he needs to stay consistent, when it comes to first quarter to the fourth quarter when he's at the one.
I love talking to you, Cedric. You've been around. You know these games. You know these teams really well. Cedric Ceballos, former NBA All-Star, over a decade in the NBA. And I always appreciate you stopping by the show. I get smarter. Thanks, man. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd, or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.